Hey everyone, my name is Ratsnake, and today we are going to be taking a look at my Soul Level 12 Frostbite Invasion build. I find Frostbite to be useful at any level, but especially at low level it's really good for putting away phantoms within 2 to 3 swings. This build is a mild twink. I am using late game rings and Shira's crown. I'm mainly going to be using the Vort's Great Hammer and Irithyll Straight Sword, though you will see me use the Claymore occasionally, and then my first ring slot is going to be swapping around a bit, but the other 3 rings are there to stay. Also, if you would like to see how to make a nice looking character like this one, head over to a channel called Meow It's Jenny. I used her tutorial as a base for my own character, and I think she turned out pretty nice. Alright, so jumping right in with our first invasion. We find a lonely sunbro. Give him a nice little wave because we've got time. So he comes right at us with the weapon art, which doesn't have as much hyper armor as it probably should. Doesn't help that their armor made them a bit squishy. We're able to put them away pretty fast using that soft swap to the straight sword as a chase down. So here is our host, and we're going to be with this host for some time, quite some time. And he's already got his blue backup on the way, his sworn in officers of the law. Now I am a huge fan of the Great Club. I call it the Tree Branch, so I'm pretty familiar with what he's going to be doing with it and how far away I need to space myself. Broke his frostbite right there, and you can see the blue coming in on the left. I didn't even notice him because he's got the Untrue Dark Ring on, so smart move on his part. Now we're just making a quick escape, give us a little space to heal. And I assumed that they were going to follow me down here, but it turns out they did not, so we're skipping forward. Here we are. I've switched to the Sun Princess ring to get some regen, and I'm just kind of waiting on them to follow me down here. And here comes the blue. You'll see me switch to my Cestus quite often. The snow effect that comes off the hammer kind of gives me a headache, so when I'm not in danger, I tend to put it on my back just to shut that effect off, because it kind of strains my eyes. Not anything tactical going on there. Just as a disclaimer. So I knew he was trying to bait me underneath of that hole there, probably to get plunged on, but I kind of misjudged it, and I was going for the point up gesture and then ended up getting plunged by our second blue, which did come in a minute ago. Forgot to mention, he came in during the runoff sequence. And again, they are hesitant to follow. I have been trying to get better about the pace at which I draw the host and their party through the level, because sometimes I can rush that. Here I absolutely whiff my running attack, and blue number 1 gets a nice backstab on me, which I should have expected. Usually if people are wasting a ring slot on the Untrue Dark Ring, it usually means that they're good enough that, they can at least survive without that one lost ring slot. So I decided I'm going to make my final stand out here. There's blue number 2 up here. Coming in hot is Lagertha. And now Hodrick's involved as well, which always beautifully complicates things for both sides. And had I known that Lagertha was below me, that could have been a nice plunging attack. Awareness, people. Have it. Because sometimes I don't. Like there, I just got lucky. Blue number 1 coming in with the plunging attack. Coming in hot. So I try to draw them out of that little narrow area just a bit. Hodrick has decided that he's going to be on my side this time, but he is quickly backstabbed by blue number 1, who is always keeping their eye out for those backstabs. And now that Hodrick is going to be my teammate, I got to be careful about where I'm swinging. Always respect your teammate's space. And here I catch blue number 1, finally frantic enough that I'm able to put them away. And let me say, I do not usually point down. I was probably salty about the previous invasion or something like that. Now I think at this point in the invasion, both me and blue number 2 forgot that blue number 1 was not the host. So we both kind of just stood there for a moment. And then the host finally shows their face again. So I'm still a little high from beating that first phantom, so I just kind of kite them around and try to taunt them a bit by standing in Hodrick's spell. A cheeky L1 waggle. And then blue number 2 strays a little too far from the protection of their teammate. Tries to trade with me, and I'm able to put them away. Another distasteful point down. I apologize. Though I will say that gestures are pretty limited at this point in the game. I don't have quite the selection that I usually do. Alright, so now it's time for our host to die. But of course, they always escape with just a tiny hair of HP. I whiff a couple firebombs here, but I do recommend using them for hosts that are like sprinting away from you. Unless you have something with a really good running attack like a katana, but I feel like firebombs have better accuracy than running attacks most of the time. And as we all know, backing away is the top survival strategy in DS3. Backing up. GG. I don't know what was with me in the point downs last night. Alright, so here's a quick little one. We have a duo, and I turn around, run away, make them think that they just fucking got me. They're just on my ass, I'm just running for my life. But then, whoop! 2 swings and the phantom's down. What did I tell you at the beginning of the video? GG. Another point down. Alright, so the next invasion, the beginning got cut off just a bit, but it's alright. 2 swings and our first blue is down. This other blue is using his crossbow. He is using it locked on, but it's still pretty cool. If I had pursued him here, I probably would have been able to put him away. This party stays pretty passive. There's a lot of going back and forth in this area because they do not want to break the threshold that will trigger the PvE. So I do cut bits of this invasion out. And so here, we'll see the blue go for a parry. So we're just going to tuck that info in the back of our mind and save it for later. And then here, I'm locked onto the host, but I can see the blue coming around on my left, so I redirect my attack, and it paid off, thankfully. So I'm keeping my health low here, because I'm hoping that it'll tempt them to chase me out into the level and finish me off. But it doesn't. They're too scared of the PvE, so I just heal. Nice backsabotant. Wee woo, wee woo. And you remember what I said about the blue liking to parry? I tried to delay my second set of R1s, but it could have just been latency. But he did not get that parry. But it's like I didn't even kill him, because here's another blue. And he's equally as passive. And here I get my riposte stolen by the evangelist fucking miracle. They wanted to move the fight indoors where it's safer. I switched over to the Claymore, more as a middle ground. Hyper armor, but also way quicker than the club. Or the hammer, I should say. Wee woo, wee woo. What's that? It's blue number 3. I will say, now that it's a 3v1, they're a lot more willing to follow me and fight me. Though the evangelist is gone. But they are much more willing to trigger the PvE when it's a 3v1. Switch back over to my hammer. And guess what? 2 swings. Except, like I said, they always escape with a tiny little milli-inch of a fucking health bar. We have this twinked out Dragon Slayer level fucking 15 blue throwing little starter fireballs at us. And then guess what? 1, 2. Wanna know a fact? Noobs love plunging attacks. I have never been plunged so much as with this build and in this level. It's like the only way they can get in high damage. Noobs even love plunging attacks so much that they'll plunge you when you're looking right at them. Incredible. So here I'm just sort of R1ing at the air, hoping that it'll tempt them to be aggressive, come in and whiff punish me, but if, you know, it does not. And here the host runs off, leaving me all alone with the blue. Check out this sick parry. You know, for some reason, everybody's last-ditch effort when they're on the brink of death is always to throw a parry out. Even against unparryable weapons, apparently. He's dead. Thanks, PvE. Alone at last. GG. And we're pointing up this time. So here we're invading She-Hulk Smash. And I notice right off the bat that these guys aren't noobs. Noobs don't use claymores or iron round shields or run around naked. You know, that's purely a sophisticated player thing, is running around naked. So I think they're just as cautious of me as I am of them. We do a few test swings, but then the evangelist decides to get involved, so they retreat. And so the Phantom's plan for both me and the PvE apparently is just throwing daggers. He just starts chucking them. Boom, boom. And I can tell here that the host is trying to get a backstab on me. So I roll out. I'm like, alright, he knows what he's doing. This poor evangelist she just doesn't understand. And he's back to backstab hunting. Alright, so here's where Officer Diego joins the party. And I'm not sure if they had Way of Blue equipped this whole time or if they equipped it to get rid of me. But here comes Officer Diego sprinting to the front lines in his fancy ring knight armor. And I break away to heal here, but in that time they've cleared out most of the PvE of this little area. And I get kind of stuck in a blender here, so I decide to persevere. It's way faster than rolling or, you know, trying to attack, so if you can, I would always recommend persevering in between stun locks. So they chase me down here. We both decide to buff at the same time for whatever reason. And Diego here escapes with the classic little tiny hair of HP. And I am very much not a fan of fighting in that weird little corridor right there. So I just try to draw him through. The blue is doing everything he can do with his meta heart or valor try hard or whatever that weapon's called. I forget. One, two. We've got our second officer on the way, but it doesn't matter. Alright, last one. So I am wearing the obscuring ring here, though that blue should have been able to see me. Not sure why he didn't, but you know, just blue logic probably. And I get a cheap backstab here on this AFK Phantom, but honestly, it probably would have killed him if I had just R1'd him twice. It's just, you know, so tempting to go for an AFK backstab. So somehow this blue still hasn't noticed me at this point, but it's alright. His buddies are quick to save his ass. I probably should have persevered there and just smashed him, but I kind of panicked a little bit. So I decide to draw them out here. I swap over to the Sun Princess ring for some casual regen. Didn't want to waste an Estus Blast so early on. And then my dear friend Hodrick arrives. Now, it took me until about now in the invasion to realize it, but The Sunbro has been out of Estus since I backstabbed him. With the other two preoccupied with the PvE, I'm able to chase him down and put him away. GG, Kurt Cobain. And the host just chooses to completely ignore this blue struggle. And I'm able to also put him away. Little lag spike. And then the classic, you know, end of invasion marathon. Remember what I said about firebombs? My straight sword couldn't even catch him, but the firebomb could. GG, Kennedy. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all stay safe.